When we approach the lighting of resin panels, we have many light sources available to us. Another important term is linear light source. And what we mean is the light source is in a line and not in a cone. Because when we are trying to control light and keep it within a resin panel, if we use the cone of light, we would get circles on the panel of light and dark. What we want is a straight, linear, even glowing light source. So we have a choice. Do we want to use incandescent light sources? Do we want to use LED light sources? Do we want to use fluorescent light sources? Or many others? Let's talk about the good and the bad light sources to choose from and the reasons for choosing them. The most popular light source in the market today is the incandescent bulb. It's in your desk lamp, your table lamp, your wall sconce or your chandelier. But the incandescent light source is not very efficient. It's approximately 15 to 20 lumens per watt. One of the unfortunate disadvantages of an incandescent bulb is it has a life of approximately 1,000 hours only. I'm sure in your dealings with incandescent light bulbs, you've realized that this life of 1,000 hours means you've got to replace them maybe 3 or 4 times in a year. Another light source that does get used to light resin panels is the fluorescent light source. A long 4-foot fluorescent or 3-foot or 2-foot fluorescent could be used to light resin panels, but we don't use it that often. It is an efficient light source, which means we should be able to use it. But when a fluorescent fluoresces, most of the light hovers around the tube. So in order to get the light to travel through our resin panels, we need a specific reflector. We can use this reflector, but it becomes big and bulky. And when you're lighting a 1/2 inch or a 1 inch thick resin panel, these things become too big and don't fit into the structure we are lighting. So even though fluorescent has a life of 10,000 hours compared to an incandescent which is 1,000 hours, on a large-scale project that means you're still going to be replacing the fluorescents every 2 years. Another disadvantage of fluorescent is fluorescent contains mercury, and because mercury is a toxic material, we don't want to use it if we don't have to. The reason we don't have to use fluorescent is we have another great linear light source, which is the LED, or light emitting diode technology. And because this is probably the best technology to light resin panels, I'd like to spend a little bit of time explaining the technology to you. The LED starts off its life as a tiny little chip that produces energy at approximately an efficiency of 40 to 60 lumens per watt. So comparing it to an incandescent, which is 15 to 20, it's 3 times more efficient. It isn't as efficient as linear fluorescent, but it does a better job because we have the ability to apply optics to these tiny point sources, which will produce in the end a linear beam of light. So that LED is fairly efficient, but because we take all those lumens and with optics we can put them in a beam the size that we want it, makes it a great light source. LED bulbs have rated lives of somewhere between 35,000 and 50,000 hours. That means that you only have to get to the LEDs maybe every 5 years, depending on how many hours per day they are on. Now we're really getting into this thing because LEDs are small in size, and generally when lighting resin panels, you are either lighting them from the edge or you're backlighting them in a very narrow space. So either way, you need a small light source. And that is exactly what the LED is. It's a nice, small, compact light source that can pack a punch. Often we get asked, why can't we use other available light sources? Let's talk about some of those. Fiber optics. Fiber optics is a great technology because you place the optic fiber cables into the thing you are building and you put the light source somewhere else. But it doesn't really glow bright enough to throw the light into or through the resin panel because the lighting closest to the fiber optic is extremely bright and then it dissipates very quickly into no light. Electroluminescence. An electroluminescence is a thin sheet of light, but it's only between 30 and 40 lumens per watt efficiency, and its life is probably about 10,000 hours. So it's not really a great solution long term.